All right. Hi there. Good evening, Natalia. How are you? How do you feel today?
Hi, fine, thank you.
Great. That's great to know. Let's begin, please, with the class. I saw that in the first of all, today we're going to cover one very short topic and another one that is going to be the beginning of something. All right. But before that, as always, we're going to see some details that you have to show me. I was checking the document and I believe that
Mhm.
you have some questions, right? So I'm going to go there first, Natalia, so that you let me know what these questions are and what doubts you have about them.
Yes, in this example, I understand that it's like you force to the other person to cook better the fish, and I use the verb makes, but the correction is had. I don't understand why. And in the other example is same. The example is you must have some of my cake. But I use has because you can force to try to another person cake. So I'm a little confused about that.
Okay, yes. Now, look, in the context, we're going to analyze two things mainly, and I'm going to show you what. But here I understand, and actually, in speaking in real life situations, Natalia, it is going to be good if mainly if you use have and make, they are going to be used sometimes interchangeably. Why? Because they are both used in professional context, either when you have a service, right? When you're receiving a service, or when you're the boss. Of course, when you are right having a temporary service, remember that a temporary service is when you are not the boss of that person every
Mm,
time. It's just that you're receiving a service temporarily, right? It happens when you go to the hairdresser to cut your hair, right? When you go to the manicurist to do your nails, for example, right? And
mhm,
it's something similar in a restaurant, right? You go to a restaurant and temporarily you give responsibility to people, but you don't obligate those people. You don't force those people do something. You give them responsibilities, right? And
mhm.
remember, what is the verb to give responsibilities? It is going to be
That's
have.
have.
Exactly.
Mhm,
And in this case, look, even if you use make can be correct, but remember, in this specific case, if you say makes, remember that that's the simple present and that's routine. You're telling me that every time he makes the waiter take the fish back. That's like a routine for him, right? A correct
mhm,
way would be made, right? That's one alternative. But anyways, right? Here we know that it's not
mhm,
obligation. It is going to be more of a responsibility to the waiter. All right. So two
mhm,
possible. I'm going to give you two possibilities. It can be he made the waiter take the fish back if it was like take it back, right? I don't want this fish. I want something else. If he's angry, annoyed, and he's forcing right the waiter to do that, then that's going to be the case, right? But the correct way would be in past, right? So he
mhm,
made the waiter take the fish back, or he had the waiter take the fish back. But as this is responsibility for someone that is working for you temporarily, have is going to be the best option. All right,
mhm,
that's why it's number 4. In number 6, we have something similar, but some number 6, I believe that number 6, it is going to be more subjective, but also depending on the context. Okay,
mhm,
why? In the context, we have something like this. You must have some of my cake. Okay, if Sarah is saying you must. What is must in present? Obligation,
obligation. Mhm,
right? Exactly. So just because of the context, all right? Because you're right, if they are friends, of course we cannot talk about obligation. But here, this is not a real obligation, right? This is a metaphorical obligation, but she's using a word that is for obligation, right? You must take some of my cake. That's why in the restatement of the sentence, the correct one is going to be make. It can also be have if you want, but if you analyze have is not going to be the best option because have is only for responsibility or for money for a contract, right? The other option
mhm,
for me would be get Natalia. Why? If it's convincing or persuading. Okay, so between
Mhm.
friends, get is going to be an option, or make, but only if the obligation is something that it's created between the friends. It's not a real obligation, right? It's not that there's going to be a consequence, but
Mhm.
they are creating that obligation. And again, here only because of this must, Natalia, this is going to be the best option. All right. But again,
Mhm.
if you want to make this correct, it's not also going to be has, right? Why? Because if we are saying Sarah is trying to, this is going to be infinitive. So infinitive needs the base form, right? Is trying to have
Mhm.
Tom have dessert. But again, that wouldn't be a good option. My two good options here would be get or make. Okay, Sarah is trying to get Tom have some dessert, like convincing, persuading. But as she's using must, make is going to be the best option in this case. Just
Mhm.
that. All
I
right.
didn't put get because I think that is the best option because the after tone you don't use the infinity to have.
Okay, yes, you're right. You're right. Actually, I was not paying attention to that. So get is not going to be taken into account, right? So
Mhm.
it means that then we only have one option just because of the context that is going to be make, right?
Mhm.
Get is discarded because of what you said, Natalie. You're right. I was not paying attention to that. Only make would be there. All
Mhm.
right. Why again? Because it's hard. This is just Sarah and Tom. I don't know if they are friends, they are boyfriend, girlfriend, or what type of relationship they got. But I imagine that again, this is just a created obligation, not a real one,
Mhm.
but a created. All
Okay.
right. I don't know if you have questions about that.
No. And the final ask is in the next example. I put false because I understand the example is this is delicious. You are going to be a great chef by the time you graduate. And I understand at the same time or while you are graduate. And the ask is Anna thinks Ben will be a great chef before his graduation. And I put false for this reason because by the time I understand as at the same time.
Yes, it looks, but actually this is confusing, but you're going to see, let me check where's that lesson.
Mhm.
It's a shame that they are showing that before I can show you the lesson, but it was here, future time clauses. All
Mm,
right. In
mhm.
future time clauses, and also we're going to see this in past perfect. Natalia, I'm going to show you. Right, give me a second. Here is going to be clear. Okay, just understand, all right, that the usage of by the time. The past perfect, we're not going to learn that today, okay? This is for a
Mhm.
different class. But for the past perfect is the past of the past, okay? It's always a past event before another past event, all right? That's the logic
Mhm.
of the past perfect. So for example, if I say, I had finished my homework by the time you arrived, it means that first I finished my homework, then you arrived. But I did
Mhm.
that by the time, or in other words, before. All right, it seems weird, but in English, we say by the time, anytime it happened before. All right, and this
Mhm.
word is going to make it. Anytime you see by in a reference, in a time reference, it means before. By 1990, it means before 1990. Okay, it's not in 1990. It is
Mhm.
before that year. If I say by October I finished my project, it means that before October I finished my project. Okay, so it's if you translate directly, it seems that is at that moment, right? But in English, when you use by, it means close to that time reference and even before.
Okay.
All
Mhm.
right,
I
that's
understand.
why. Good. Yes, no, I need something that you didn't know, and it's good that you're asking me. It's great that you asked that, Natalia. But that's the reason, all right? That's why it would be true. It would be correct that it's true.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, good. There you go. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to show me or any other details before and going to the lessons, Natalia. We can
Uh,
give ourselves. Yes, tell me, Natalia.
yes, only put I put these examples as must have and might have, and the first paragraph of the template.
Okay, let me read. I was reading the first one. It seems perfect. He didn't answer my call. He must have been working yet. Perfect. This is what we call perfect modals continuous, right? This is the continuous form, and it's perfect, but it's perfect modal. So it is very good. Number one is perfect. You're giving a conclusion about something in the past because you believe that that was the reason, right? And you are sure. If you feel positive, right? When you say positive, it means when you feel sure about something, you say must have. Perfect. I can't turn on my phone again. It must have had. But if you say it must have had battery, what's the? I don't get that conclusion. What do you mean by that?
The battery is low.
Okay. So yes, we're not going to say like that in English. It is going to be more something is out of something. Okay, you can say it must have ran out of battery. Okay, it's an expression that you can say. In English, when you don't have more energy for something, you say run out of something. Okay, run out of. For example, your cell phone can run out of battery, right? Your car can run out of gasoline, for example, right? You can run out of energy. All right, that's going to be because in English it's not going to be common to say that it doesn't have battery. So, but we can say it mustn't have. You can change in order to keep it negative because we need one negative, right? The idea is good. All right, it is good what you're trying to tell me, but we don't say this in English. It's better if you say then it mustn't have been, all right, being charged, for example. Okay, referring to the battery in order to keep it in negative. But if you want to give the idea of something, well, without battery, my suggestion would be it must have, have run out of battery, for example, or energy, something, or of power or energy. Okay, one of those is going to be another alternative in Natalia. Right, and it's just because of the expression. It's not because your example was incorrect. It was correct, but I'm giving options because that's an expression that we don't say in English. All right, that's it. Because in general, it is good. I don't know if you have any questions. This is another one, right? I believe you have 4. He's driving a new car. He must have solved. That's great. The other, it's good, the other, but if you're not mentioning the object, you're going to say the other one. Okay, every time you don't mention the object after the other, you're going to say that. Okay, so this is my correction over here. This is not a correction, but this is going to be a suggestion. All right, a suggestion over there. And then the dinner was delicious. My aunt must have made it. Okay, yes, good. I believe that now we're using it correctly. I don't have any observations. This was only again because of the expression, but everything seems to be good in Natalia. Do you have any other details that you want me to check?
No.
All right. Were you able to restate the, not yet, right? The introduction, or more or less? I believe that you were.
Yes, it's another example.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, I'm going to set the timer. So in order we can cover what we have to cover, it's 20. Yes, I'm going to set my timer, okay, for 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, everything I get to say, it's going to be good. If I don't finish everything, we stop there and we go to the lessons, okay? So let me have the chronometer, 5 minutes, okay? I'm going to give 5 minutes of feedback. So this is good. And again, a general recommendation, this is great for some types of essay, but if you want to be very, very formal in the argumentative persuasive essay, we are not going to introduce questions in the essay itself, all right? The recommendation is always going to be only to, and mainly even, this is weird, Natalia, but formal, very formal essays for persuasive and argumentative types, they only include affirmative statements.
Okay.
You can sometimes use negative, but even negative statements are sometimes incorrect. All right, that's weird. In questions, and negative statements are avoided. Most of the times we can only include, and we want to only include, affirmative ideas. Okay, so this is not incorrect, but again, my recommendation is try to, all right, try to say this in an affirmative right statement. That's my recommendation. All right. Now, have you asked yourself how would be? But how if you don't have a subject in Spanish, in English you use the impersonal subject, right? What's the impersonal subject? What do you say, Natalia? Is it he, she, it,
You?
we, you, they? You is going to be only a direct second, right? Gender subject. It is going to be the impersonal subject. Okay. So how it would be live abroad. All right. So anytime you say something in English or in Spanish in your head and you don't say the subject, then immediately you have to think of it. It's also omitted, but only in imperatives. Okay. If it's not imperative, you has to be mentioned. But anytime it's something impersonal, it's going to be it. Okay, my main observation over there. But again, the main thing over there, try to restate that. Many people take this alternative each year, all right? However, it is important to analyze the pros and cons before taking this important decision for your life. Okay, yes, that's part of the catchy phrase, all right? Also, another recommendation, 2 minutes, let's try to make it quickly. This part, try not to give however over here. Why? Because you want to be very strong. If you say however after you say something in your catchy phrase, it's going to take away a little bit of the impact. All right, so try to say something that cannot be contrasted, something that is very strong that you can continue working on. All right, that's another observation. All right, let's try not to give a contrast in the catchy phrase. All right, and again, it's not bad if you do it, but it's going to take away a little bit of the strength that you need at the beginning. All right, in fact, yes, this is good. Just close to the, no, it is good. Well, why are they? Let me check this. What's the suggestion? I don't know, they don't show it. I'm going to check later on. All right. In fact, maybe unnecessary. Okay, let me see it. They say it's unnecessary. In fact, is to give an example, to give more clarification about something, and mainly you're going to show something that it's real to support the previous idea, right? In fact, many people take, but you don't take a decision, right? Remember, you make decisions. Okay, make this decision. Okay, many people make this decision for the situation of their countries. Okay, but remember also you can always state this in a better way. What is a better way to restate this? It is going to be for their country's situation. All right, their country situation. All right, so you have to restate this phrase. Okay, what is to restate? To say it again, but using the English possession. All right, they make this decision because of their country's situation. The unsafe, all right, we're going to see if that is correct, the political and economical problems. Now, here, it's better if you say if it's a social insecurity, if it is because of how the crime, all right, it is better because unsafe is good, but something unsafe is an adjective. And here you cannot say only the unsafe. All right, you can say something else. So you can directly mention what is unsafe for you. Okay, what is it that is not secure or unsafe for you? Okay, it's better if you mention that directly, because if you only say unsafe, it is not going to be correct. All right. Political and economical problems. All right. And they, okay, so if this is a list of items, then here we're going to need a comma also. All right, that's called the Oxford comma. When you have more than 3 items, and this seems to be the third one, okay? I'm going to the 6th minute. I'm going to stop in a while. But as this seems to be, many people make this decision because of their country situation. That's one item. The insecurity, another item. The political and economical problems. All right. Now, this is the end of that list. So here we're going to use another comma. Okay, the political comma and the economic or the economical problems. Okay, because this is the last item. And anytime you have more than 2 items, we need a comma after that. And they start. Now, remember the rule. Actually, we didn't cover this rule with you yet, I believe, Natalia, I'm not sure. But if you use a fanboy, and with this I finish, then I go to the lessons, or I'm going to finish the next part in the next class. But anytime you have a comma and a fanboy, but you were using a lot of commas before, in order to avoid confusion for the reader, and we know when is the beginning of one idea and when is the start of another idea, instead of a comma here, we are going to use semicolon. All right. This is just a rule if you only if you have commas before your comma and your family. Okay, only in that case. Okay, so semicolon because you have many commas before in your family. Okay, it means before your and. Right? If you have many commas before comma and, instead of a comma, we use a semicolon. That's it. We're going to stop here because of the time. First, we're going to check the lessons that we have for today. If we have the time, we're going to continue today with this. If not, the next class. But I want to know if you have any questions only about the first corrections.
No, that's okay.
All right. Let's go then to the lessons. Then we go back over there. Again, today we have very simple lessons, I believe. Let me verify. Yes, the first one is already opened, actually. It is over here. So neither, to, and either. We checked this before in Natalia. I don't know if you remember something about these 4 words. We have to use them in order to show agreement with something positive or with something negative. What do you say? Do you remember how do we use these words?
So and to is for positive, and neither is for negative.
Very good. Exactly. So to for positive agreement, neither either for a negative agreement, right? So if I say, let's try to see if we remember exactly what we have to do. If I say, I love pasta, I love pasta. How do you show agreement with me?
I love to.
Good, we're close. Only one detail. Remember that
I love it.
No, it was good. I love to, that structure is perfect. But we don't use the verb. Instead of the verb, we have to use something else. We don't use the verb. We have to use the auxiliary. What is the auxiliary that we use in that case?
Me too.
It's good saying that, but that's informal. We have to stay with this idea. I love to. The structure is great. I is very good. To is very good. Love is not bad, but we don't have to use love over there. Instead of love, we have to use something else. And I'm going to give you this structure. Let me write it. Okay, so you're saying I love, that's not correct, too. Okay, so that is good. This is good. But what do we need here? What is the auxiliary of I love pasta? To know what's the auxiliary, remember, you can say it in negative. What is the negative of I love pasta?
Hate.
It is, but only in the negative form. Or how do you change that affirmative idea?
I didn't. I don't.
Don't, exactly. So what is auxiliary?
Do. I do too.
I do too, exactly. We only use the auxiliary, right? If you say I love to, it is not bad, but if you want to be formal, in short ways, only the auxiliary. All right, now if I say I went to the party,
I I did too.
Exactly. Very good. Exactly. Very good. No, you're more sure about that, right? That's what you have to keep in mind every time, Natalia. If it's affirmative and present, I do too. If it's affirmative and past, I did too, right? If I say, I have eaten a lot of food, I have eaten a lot of food.
I did too.
Close.
Or I have, I
Mhm.
have, I haven't too.
But if you say haven't, right, that's negative. You're
Ah,
close.
I
Have,
have to.
exactly. Very
Mm,
good. I have eaten. Why? Because in that case, have is not a verb, right? Have is an auxiliary. I have
mm,
eaten. Eaten is the verb. Have is the
mhm,
auxiliary. So we have to use the auxiliary. I have
mhm,
to. So from now on, the only two difficult ones, remember, Natalia, are simple present and simple past, right? Because
mhm,
you don't see and you don't hear the auxiliary. But in all the rest
mhm,
of the cases, Natalia, the auxiliary is always there. You only
mhm,
copy, paste, right? So if I say, for example, I will travel tomorrow,
I will too.
exactly. I can play the guitar,
I can do.
exactly. I am from, no, I am in the park,
Uh, I am too.
exactly. If you see the
Mhm,
verb to be, you use the verb to be. If you see a model, will, could, can, you use the model. If you hear the auxiliary, I have, I had, gone, I have, gone, that's the auxiliary, right? You use the auxiliary. So the only two cases you have to be careful with, remember, simple present and simple past, right? And what
mhm.
about so? If I give you the same ideas, right? I love pasta. How do you agree with me using so?
I remember the lesson. So do I.
Perfect, exactly. So do I. If I say I went to the party,
So did I.
exactly. I have eaten a lot of food,
Uh, so have I.
exactly. So have I. I will travel tomorrow,
So will I.
good. And I can play the guitar,
So can I.
perfect, exactly. There you go. Okay, it's as simple as that. You can give me affirmative agreement with to, right? I do too, I did too, I have to, I will too, I can too, and so on and so forth. Or with so, right? So do I, so did I, so have I, so am I, right? If I say I am in the park, the agreement is so am I, right? So am I. So that's it. I don't know. Actually, we're going to check actually that directly. So then we go to the negative. But there's no more complexity than that in this lesson. That's what this lesson is going to be very short, just to remember. So is used to show agreement in this case, in the way that you did it, and it was very good. Inversion, always so, then the auxiliary, and then the subject, right? This is the formula. So, auxiliary verb and subject. When it's two, it's sentence order. Subject, auxiliary verb, the expression to, right? I like pasta, I do too. I liked pasta, I did too. I have liked pasta, I have too. I will like pasta, I will too, right? I would like pasta, I would too, right? Anytime you use any model, you only copy paste the model in between these words, and that's quite it, right? Subject, auxiliary verb, and to. And here, this is just to remember even more, Natalia. We have a list of different sorry, here we have a list of different tenses plus the agreement that we can show. This is only for practicing, Natalia. So let's read these examples, please, showing the agreement with so and with to.
Lucy likes coffee. So do I, or I do too. John's at the office. So am I, or I am too. Luke's going out tonight. So am I, or I am too. Jill went to the cinema yesterday. So did I, or I did too. She was at the library. So was I.
There you go. Give me a second. I believe that we have some more over here. Let's continue with this, please. Only these three.
They've been to Colombia. So have I, or I have to. Edward will be at the cafe later. So will I, or I will too. He would like a cup of tea. So will I, or I will too. Emma can speak Russian. So can I, or I can too.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So that's it. For affirmative, so and to, this is the logic that we have to follow. Every tense is possible, all right, to agree with. You only have to use the auxiliary verb, and that's correct. Okay, remember, only be careful with simple present and simple past. Now we're going to go to the negative ones, right? There are some details over there, but do you have any questions so far, Natalia? Let me know, please. This is like a review only about this.
There are some difference between the first structures. So can I, for example, or I can too,
No.
or it's totally the same.
Yes, in both cases, in this way we use them, they are exactly the same. If you say so do I or I do too, it is exactly the same. There is no degree of difference. There is no logic. If I do this, I use this. If I do that, I use that. No, it's up to you. It's just to have more variety. You have more options to show agreement, but there is no difference. All right, okay. There you go. Now, very easily and quickly also we go to the negative ones, neither and either, with the same logic, right? Neither is inverted. Even though it's negative, right? Remember, Natalia, this one, even though this is negative, we use affirmative auxiliary, right? Because this is negative here. This is negative. So that's why we say neither do I. And it's the same logic, right? Just for practicing, if I say I won't go to the meeting, what's the agreement with that?
Neither will I.
Correctly. I haven't finished yet.
Neither have I.
I am not over there.
Neither am I.
Exactly, right? Neither am I. There you go, exactly. So very easy in this case. We use just the auxiliary in affirmative, but it is easy in every case because now we see the auxiliary every time, right? Even if in the simple present, we see the auxiliary and the simple past, right? Because if I say this, Natalie, I didn't like that food. What is the agreement for that?
Neither did I.
Exactly, right? Did is over there in negative. You only use did, but in affirmative in this case, because neither is already negative, right? So that's quite it. And the structure is neither, auxiliary verb in affirmative, and subject. But here with either, we use negative, right? Because either is not negative, but we use it for negative ideas. For example, I don't like classical music. I don't either. So we have to use the auxiliary in the negative form. That's the main difference between neither and either. Right? With either, we have to use something negative because it is not negative by itself. We have to make it negative. So it's the same. And it's even easier because now you copy and paste the negative auxiliary, right? If I say, for example, I wouldn't like to be there.
I wouldn't either.
Exactly. I couldn't finish the assignments.
I couldn't either.
Exactly. And the last one, right? I am not waiting for them.
I'm not either.
Exactly. I'm not either, right? You can contract the first two ideas and not can be separated. But that's it. That's quite it. Right? So you have a question, I believe, Natalia?
No.
Okay.
It's more easy than either, I think.
Yes.
Either.
Exactly. It's easier, right? It's easier than that one. And if you analyze, all of them are easy, but some can be easier, right? To memorize or to use. So Subject, auxiliary verb, not, either, and it's going to be good. Any auxiliary verb. And here we're also going to read this, please, Natalie, to practice the example in negative and the two possibilities, please. Let's read them, please.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Because I use that a lot. If I say, if you say me, I don't like to dance, can I say me neither? That's correct.
Yes, for speaking, it is good if you say me neither for negative and me too for affirmative. It is good. But as we're going to see, look at the end of the lesson, actually, we have the answer for that. They are correct. When speaking, many people say me too for affirmative agreement, me neither for negative agreement, right? So they are correct, but they are very informal.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going to use them in a test, it's not advisable, it's not recommendable. Right? In an international test or in an interview, if you're having a conversation in a formal situation, don't say me too, me neither. That's informal, but it is correct. It is correct,
Okay.
but informal. All right? Good.
Okay.
There you go. So let's go back. Let's read these examples, please.
Lucy doesn't like coffee. Neither do I, or I don't either. John isn't at the office. Neither am I, or I'm not either. Luke isn't going out tonight. Neither am I, or I'm not either. Jill didn't go to the cinema yesterday. Neither did I, or I didn't either. She wasn't at the library. Neither was I, or I wasn't either. They haven't been to Colombia. Neither have I, or I haven't either. Edward won't be at the cafe later. Neither will I, or I won't either. He wouldn't like a cup of tea. Neither would I, or I wouldn't either. Emma can speak Russian. Neither can I, or I can't either.
All right, there you go, right? And the last part is what you asked, right? We can use that for speaking when you speak with friends, when you have a normal conversation. But if you are in a job interview, if you are in a university application, if you are in an international test, it is better to use what you're learning here. All right. But for the other situations, it doesn't matter if you say me too, me neither, because that's the most common. Okay. In a normal conversation, again, this is what you hear. It's more common.
Okay.
All right. But that's it. All right. If you have questions about the lesson, please let me know, Natalia. I'm going to be opening the next one, but I'm going to be waiting. All right. Okay. Good. Let's go then to the next one that it is going to be directly this one over here. Yes. Reported is yeah, let's work with this. This is going to be another short lesson to work on today. All right, good. So let me close it. Now we're ready with this. Okay, so this lesson can be very complex, Natalia, but actually it's very short in this case. Why? Because we're going to talk about reported speech not in general, not about present, past, present perfect, future, and so on, because it's possible. That's going to be at the end of this course. All right, at the end of the course, we see reported speech in general, and that can be long, okay? That can be a long lesson. But this is very short. Why? Because reported speech of imperative is only how you say someone else's words, but only when that person said an order or gave an order, right? So what is an order and what's an imperative, Natalie? What do you say? How can you explain that?
Is when you communicate an obligation to the other person for doing something.
It is correct. And what is the common way to give imperative, right? Not to give an obligation like you must do this, right? But to say directly, right? How do you give an imperative directly to that person?
Open the door.
Exactly, right. Those are common instructions that we can give. Open the door, close the door, right? Stand up, sit down, join me, or in negative, right? Don't come, don't finish that, don't open that, don't do this, don't do that, right? So those are imperative, exactly. So here it is very easy because we only have to see how we can report when someone gave us an imperative, all right? And it's going to be like this. Let's read directly. And this is it. This is what we have to know. And it's very simple to understand. The first one is what we call DS or direct speech. And the second one is IS or indirect speech. And this is what we have to learn. Indirect speech is reported speech. Okay, let's read the two examples, please, Natalia. Number one and number two.
The teacher told us complete the assignments. The teacher told us to complete the assignments.
There you go. So what differences do you see between number one and number two, Natalia? In terms of the punctuation marks, in terms of the words that you use?
In the first example, you are saying textually that the other people is saying, and in the second is like you are doing a relate. You are communicate about the situation, about the action, but not is the action directly.
Okay. Yes. It is good because this is hard to explain. But yes, it is called indirect because we are not using the exact same words. We are making some changes, right? But of course, the basics have to be the same. We cannot change the sentence completely, right? We cannot change the idea completely, but we can make some changes to make it part of our speech. That's why it's going to be indirect or reported speech. And this one is the one we have to work on in this lesson. But again, it's very short. Why? For example, if I say this, Natalia, no, actually, that one is here. Okay, take the quiz right now. Take the quiz right now. What is the reported speech of that? How do you say Luis, blah, 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 blah?
What is the order?
The order is take the quiz right now.
Okay. Luis say me to take the quiz right now.
Okay, it is very good. Only one little observation, not in the imperative. The imperative was perfect, but say me, it's going to be incorrect. All right, it's better if you want to mention the object. It's better to say tell. Why? Because tell always has an object, right? So Luis told me to take the quiz right now. That's one option. The other option, if you really want to use say Natalia, you have to say said to me. You have to use to. Only if you use say. Okay, that's our rule. So it's going to be Luis said to me to take the quiz right now. Okay, then it is perfect. Okay, so you always say said to me or told me. That's why sometimes people prefer to say told me because it's closer and you don't need any prepositions.
Okay.
Right? And it's good. And how do you think it would be negative if I say this, Natalia? Don't take the final exam today. Don't take the final exam today. What is the reported speech for that one? Yeah, and the only thing you have to do, if you remember, here you are using infinitive. Complete is infinitive. How is the negative infinitive? I don't know if you remember. We didn't use it, but we saw it. We saw in one of the presentations or two of the presentations, but we never used the negative infinitive. But what is the negative of to complete, for example?
Mm, the negative, don't.
No, don't, it's good, but don't is directly imperative, right? But it's not infinitive. We don't
Uh,
use the auxiliaries for infinitive, right?
mhm,
It's close. So what is the negative word? In English, not, right? And it's going to be very easy. So the negative of to complete is not
not
to
complete.
complete.
And not
Exactly.
to complete.
Exactly. Not to complete. So to eat, not to eat. To go, not to go. Right?
Mhm,
So that's why you must know, right? The classical, right? Philosophical saying, right? To be or not to be, right?
mhm.
To be or not to be, right? That's the question. So here, then one more time. If my imperative was this, Natalia, don't take the final exam today. Don't take the final exam today. So what's the reported speech over there?
And Luis told me not to take the exam today.
Exactly. Very good. Luis told me not to take the final exam today. Perfect.
Mhm,
Okay, there you go. If you know that, that's the lesson. All right. This lesson is only showing you how to use affirmative infinitive for reporting imperatives and how to use negative infinitive to report negative imperatives. All right.
mhm,
Negative infinitives to report negative imperative ideas. All right. But anyway, let's take a look at the lesson. But that's everything we have to know. Let's read
mhm,
this introduction, please, to reported speech.
mhm. We use report speech when we want to tell someone what someone said. We usually use a reporting verb, say, tell, ask, and then change the tense of what was actually said in direct speech.
Okay, now here again, this can be complex because reported speech, Natalia, can be in any tense, present, past, future, but that's not something we're going to see in this lesson. Okay, in this lesson in Pearson, they only want us to understand first imperatives. That is very easy. Then at the end of the course, we are going to see reported speech for simple present, simple past, present continuous, past continuous, present perfect continuous, modals, and so on and so forth. And we have
Mhm,
to memorize some rules. Okay, there we have to memorize some rules. But here, you only need to know that if you analyzed what we did, is that we have to use infinitive. That's it. All right, that's the only rule you have to memorize over here. Why? In the directed speech, that is this one, we have to use the exact same words, right? So let's actually read this because it's important to know. Even though the lesson is only about indirect speech, it's also good to know and to be clear on how to use direct speech as well. So let's read this slide, please, Natalia, and even all these details so that we know what we have to use step by step.
mhm. Direct speech. For direct speech, do the following imperative. The teacher, do your homework. Direct speech. Who, said, told, to whom, comma or colon, quotation mark, a capital letter, the exact words, a period, quotation mark. The teacher told us, do your homework.
Right? So direct speech is very simple. You say, right? My mother told me, my friend said to me, right? Or you can use other words if you want, right? The professional stated, right? State is to say something, but it's a different way to say it, right? Or the poet declared, right?
Mhm,
Or commented, right?
mhm,
Any verb that is going to mean to transmit something verbally is going to be good. All
mhm,
right, so you have that option. But after that, you say comma or colon, quotation mark, and the exact words, right? In this case, open the door, close the window, right? It doesn't matter, right? So my brother told me, comma, quotation mark, close your door, please, right?
mhm,
Period, quotation mark, right? My uncle said, comma, quotation mark, come here tomorrow, right? Period, quotation mark. So it is just copying and pasting, but you only have to be careful, of course, here, Natalia, with what? With the punctuation marks, right? Always comma, quotation marks, capital letter, always the period inside, and then quotation mark. Okay, this order has to be very clear. Anytime you use direct speech, you have to follow that exact same order. Okay, the only thing that can change is this. Instead of a comma, you can use a colon, right? This is the colon, but both are going to be correct. If you use a comma, it's correct. If you use a colon, it's correct. No difference. Okay, there's no difference. Only formality. Of course, colon is more formal, but in English, it is more common to use comma than colon. In Spanish, it's more common to use colon, but in English, it's more common to use comma. All right, that's it. I don't know if you have questions about this direct speech. It's not the main thing we have to know, but it's important that you also understand this. What do you say?
No, all is clear.
All right, and then the main thing that we already know is indirect speech. Let's also read this slide, please, Natalia.
Reported speech. For reported speech, do the following imperative. The teacher, do your homework, don't copy. Indirect speech. Who, say, to, told, to whom, verb infinitive, negative, not to. Complements, any change in possession and time reference. The teacher told us to do our homework. The teacher told us not to copy.
Okay, this should be clear. This is what you did at the beginning, and this is the formula that you have to know, Natalia. Now, we're going to do one thing now that is going to be before finishing today's lesson. About this, we have to practice, but it's not going to be here. You're going to have then a short homework, okay? Very short. You only need to write for the next class 4 examples, okay? Only 4 examples using the reported speech, okay? It means this. It can be 2 affirmative examples. It means affirmative infinitive. And 2 negative examples. It means negative infinitive. All right? But this is going to be the challenge. Of course, they have to be different imperatives. Natalia, we have to use different verbs. Okay, we're going to use different verbs. And you can try to use different verbs also here. Okay, but the most important thing is to use different verbs in the imperatives. With that, we are okay. I don't know if you have questions about that homework, Natalia. Let me know, please.
No, I think no.
Okay, good. So if you understand very well that they are part of imperatives, you don't need to write the imperative. But if you want to practice even more, you can do something like this, right? For example, my mother, colon, wash the dishes, period, right? And down below, you write the reported speech. My mother told me to wash the dishes, right? That's what you can do. That's one alternative. So you have to do 4 of that, 2 affirmative, 2 negative. Or you can directly give me the reported speech. That's up to you.
Okay.
All right.
2 in affirmative, 2 in negative.
Correct. Exactly. There you go. Now, with that in mind, we are going to, please, I want to take advantage. We're going to use at least 2-3 more minutes just to finish with the introduction, because then I want you to work on the body paragraph. All right, that's what we're going to do. So we were here, semicolon, and they start. This is present, but you're telling me this in present, right? And they start a new life in countries that they, okay, if you're telling me this as a general idea, it is correct. They start a new life in countries that they consider, all right, have more opportunities for progress. They consider, here we're going to complement this to, it can be with that one. I want to check the recommendation they are giving, but they are not giving, okay? They are, they consider that, all right, have could be one alternative, or to have over there, as you were saying, okay? But it's better that they consider that have more opportunities or to have over there more opportunities. But you're talking here about those countries, right? That they consider have, that they consider to have. No, it is better, okay? They consider that have
I
more
am
opportunities
talking
over
about
there.
people, the migrant people.
Okay, okay, then it's going to
Mhm.
be that over there in this case. They consider that have more opportunities for progress, period.
Mhm.
Thus, these people must leave behind their lives as their families, customs, or jobs. Because starting right from zero, a lot of times and opening themselves and they, okay, but here also we're missing something. So in general, okay, just a general recommendation about this. This is a conclusion of what you're telling me, but you are not giving me a thesis statement, right? This is just a description of something that can be real and it's good, right? You're saying, right, in conclusion, people must leave behind their lives. So you're describing, right? They have to do that. They have to
Mhm.
leave their families, their customs, right, traditions, or jobs
Mhm.
because of starting right from zero. But if you say this apart, you're telling me that this is the reason for something else. All right. But this is something apart. You're telling me that here, this is another idea. And I'm waiting for something else because you're saying, because of starting from zero a lot of times, right, and opening themselves a new way abroad. But no, because of only works for phrases. Okay? Only works for phrases. If you want to give a reason, only the reason you only say because. And if the reason because of is for this at the beginning, then you don't separate this with semicolon. Okay?
Mhm.
If you're using a semicolon and using because of, I imagine that first, after because of, you're going to give me a phrase, then you're going to give me a comma, and then you're going to give me the reason. Okay? Because of will be something like this. Because of my because of the weather, okay, comma, I won't go out, for example, or because of my ability to play the guitar, comma, I got hired by a very famous, all right, band, for example. Okay, so this is what I'm waiting here. If you say semicolon and then you say because of, after because of, you have to give me a phrase, then you have to give me a comma, and then you have to give me a complete idea. All right,
Mhm.
that's what we need, but you're not giving me that. That's why that idea is not correct over there. Okay, so because of a plus a phrase, remember, what is a phrase? Is an incomplete idea. Okay, always an incomplete idea. Plus comma, right? Plus complete idea.
Mhm.
That's what we need over there. Incomplete idea. Sorry. There you go. So that's a one observation over there.
If I put because of these people want to get new opportunities to live abroad, is a reason? Could
No,
be
but
a
because
thesis statement.
no, and because of, you have to give like the cause of something, right? Because of this, I have to do this. But if you say because of these people want, that's not a phrase. After because of, you have to give me a phrase. A phrase is an incomplete idea. You cannot say something like that. But it's also not a thesis statement, okay? And actually, that has to be clear today to finish with this, all right? Today we finish with this. In the
Mhm.
last part, you have to restate the last part. Why? Because your topic, I believe that here, it's also, I believe that is living abroad, okay?
Mhm.
So I believe that this is your topic. This is what I understand. Many people take this alternative, right, each year. So here, remember, and instead of however, and actually, this is your thesis statement. This is your thesis statement. This has to be at the end. not this. All right, why? The thesis statement is what you believe people have to do about this. For you, your thesis statement, Natalia, is to analyze the pros and cons before taking or making, here it would be, before making this important decision for your life. This is your thesis statement. Okay, that has to be at the end, not at the beginning. It's incorrect if it is at the beginning. At the beginning, tell me something nice, tell me something beautiful about how awful, okay, it's paradoxical, but tell me something beautiful and catchy about how awful is living abroad, right? You can say again, right? In these days, it is more common that people, right, migrate to different countries, and little by little, right, this is becoming a major tendency, and this is what the youth or the young people want to do now or today. Okay, I'm making that up. Okay, but you have to give me something strong. You have to give me an affirmative idea, an affirmative statement, one or two, about living abroad. Okay, something strong and something clear, but something general that is not your idea. Then you give me this background, and this is good, right? In fact, many people make this decision because of their country situation, right? Because of the insecurity, the social insecurity, the public insecurity, because of this and that and that. That's background, good. And now in the last part, because if you're telling me this, you're giving more description. Don't give me more description. You can save this information for the body paragraph if you want, okay? But the last part is not to say this because you're giving me a description. The last part is to say this, all right? Now that living abroad is a tendency nowadays, now that people are making this decision because of many, many reasons, okay, because of all that, at the end, therefore, as a result, it is important to know or to understand the pros and cons of migrating, right, of going abroad in order for people to make better decisions. Okay, and that's your thesis statement. Now, in your body paragraph, you are going to develop that. One body paragraph is going to develop the pros, and the other body paragraph is going to develop the cons. All right, and then you give me the conclusion. All right, but that's then my main thing, Natalia. I don't know if you have any questions. My recommendation again, and actually more than recommendation, my correction, it would be that this, you can change this a little bit. Of course, you cannot use however in this case. You don't use however,
Yeah.
but this is your thesis statement that you have to restate.
When I have to write another essay, how can I identify what is my thesis statement? What is the question that I have to say?
Your thesis statement, it's a proposition, it's something that you propose to the reader, okay? You're not giving a description to the reader, right? You're not saying, therefore, there are a lot of factories in the country, right? That's not a thesis statement, that's a description, right? You're describing that there are a lot of factories in the country. A thesis statement would be, therefore, it is necessary that we understand that we as a country, we need more factories to be a better, I don't know, right? To be better in our region. So you're proposing something, and your proposition of having more factories. Why? Why are you proposing that? You have to say why in the body paragraphs. Because of this, because having more factories are going to create these benefits for the countries, because there's a study that shows that countries that have a lot of factories have these benefits or have these results. Okay, so that's going to be the difference. If it is a description, it's not a thesis statement. If it is facts that you're giving, it's not a thesis statement. You have to give a proposition, and you have to develop that proposition in the rest of the essay.
Okay.
All right. So we are finishing here. Then one more time, and it's good. It is better that we work little by little. I wanted to work with the body paragraphs, but don't do it yet. Restate this introduction one more time, Natalia. Remember, don't use questions. And in the first part, give me something strong about living abroad and migration. Okay, tell me something strong and catchy about it. I believe the background is good. just make these corrections about the background, okay? Check the unsafe, check that word, all right? And the last part, don't use what you're using over there. Use what you have with however, but don't say however. Say therefore, as a result, all in all, right? Something to give a conclusion, and then give me your thesis statement. And and that's it. That's it. I don't know if you have any last questions over there as I'm sending the poll, Natalia.
Yes. No, that's okay. It's more clear for me now.
Great. It is great. Little by little, right? And again, once everything is clear for you, everything is going to be automatic, okay? And you can think of any topic and you know the structure. And once you have the structure in your head, it is going to be way easy, okay? You're going to be able to work with essays in English very fast. But once again, you have the template clear in your head and you know how to fulfill that information with any topic that you have in mind.
And about the language, I have to use more complex words, or that's okay?
Right now it is good the way you're doing it. Then at the end we have a last presentation for tips for writing. There we're going to pay attention to the words. Okay, now I don't want to pay much attention to that part because that's going to be at the end when we check everything. All right. First, I'm just paying attention to the structure, but in general, I see that we're using the words correctly. Of course, some words can be a little bit better, and some words can be used with some synonyms, but that's something I'm going to be telling you little by little.
Okay.
All right, there you go. That's it, Natalia. Thanks for being here today. I'll see you on Wednesday to continue working.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Right. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.